basahin po natin ang ating teksto sa umagang ito. Tayo po ay nasa Luke chapter 9, verses 28 to 36. Luke 9, verses 28 to 36. Church, hear the word of God. Now about 8 days after these things, he took with him Peter and John and James and went up on the mountain to pray. And as he was praying, the appearance of his face was altered, and his clothing became dazzling white. And behold, 2 men were talking with him, Moses and Elijah, who appeared in glory and spoke of his departure, which he was about to accomplish at Jerusalem. Now Peter and those who were with him were heavy with sleep. But when they became fully awake, they saw his glory and the two men who stood with him. And as the men were parting from him, Peter said to Jesus, Master, it is good that we are here. Let us make 3 tents, one for you, and one for Moses, and one for Elijah, not knowing what he said. As he was saying these things, a cloud came and overshadowed them, and they were afraid as they entered the cloud. And a voice came out of the cloud, saying, This is my son, my chosen one, listen to him. And when the voice had spoken, Jesus was found alone. And they kept silent and told no one in those days anything of what they had seen. Church, this is the word of the Lord. Salamat po, makakaupo na po tayo. Right, so sino po sa inyo ang nanonood sa Netflix? Pastor Lloyd? Right, sige. So, sino nanonood ng Korean novela? Konti lang. So, I will confess, nanonood po ako kami ng Korean novela. And sakto po itong napanood namin na eksena. Kasi po, ito pong pinapanood namin, right? Kung kayo ay aware dito sa pinapanood namin ito, meron pong 3 magkakaibigan na babae, nagtatrabaho po sila sa... Minarinig na ako agad. May 3 magkakaibigang babae na nagtatrabaho sa magkakaibang kumpanya. So, yung babaeng isa, nagtatrabaho sa hotel, yung isa nagtatrabaho sa airlines, yung isa nagtatrabaho sa parang duty-free shopping. Tapos, yung 3 kumpanyang ito ay pagmamayari ng isang mayamang pamilya. So, isang mayamang pamilya, pagmamayari itong businesses na ito. Yung isang anak sa pamilyang ito, yung mayamang pamilyang ito, ay tinalaga para mamahala po sa hotel business. Kinalaunan po, yung isang kaibigan sa 3 magkakaibigan na ito, naging girlfriend po nung may-aring ito. Kasi yung babaeng ito, nagtatrabaho po sa hotel business na yun. Na nakilala niya until they fell in love with each other. Pero po, kinalaunan, napapunta po yung lalaking ito doon sa tahanan nila and napilitang mapakilala kung sino siya. Pero nung pagkakataong iyon, yung pagpapakilala sa kanya ay isa lang manager, ordinary manager. Okay? And then sinasabi nila, you work also in this hotel? You know, yung pinaka-head manager nila, hindi talaga maayos yun eh. Sinisiraan. Ang totoo nun, siya yun. So I hope you're following. Pero kinalaunan po sa isang senaryo na kailangan po niyang aminin kung sino siya. So kinonfess po niya na ako talaga si Mr. Gu at ako yung anak ng pamilyang ito. So sa mga katuwid, siya po yung pinaka-head talaga. So imagine, itong tatlong babaeng ito, yung dalawang magkaibigan, under po sa company na yon. At along the way, tinatrato lang nila na ordinaryong tao ito. Sa mismong sandaling iyon, sila po ay nagbago, na halos itratong prinsipe itong si Mr. Gu. Kasi parang ang daming sinabi, nagtatrabaho sila sa kumpanya nila, at kahit anong, at sa isang iglap, pwede silang tanggalin. Tama po ba? Hanggang sa masyado siyang pinapahiran, siniserve ng ano. So tinato nga po siyang prinsipe nung malaman na siya ay anak ng may-ari. Anong gagawin mo kung sa pagkakilala mo kay Hesus, ay bigla mong makikita siya sa labis niyang kaluwalhatian? Sa atin po ngayon, nakakilala po natin si Hesus, of course, through the Bible, at hindi po natin nakikita physically yung talagang kaluwalhatian niya. What if makikita nyo kung sino talaga si Hesus, at bukod doon, meron pong magsasalita at sasabihin, siya ang aking anak. So ano po ang gagawin nyo once na makilala nyo kung sino talaga si Hesus? Base po sa ating teksto, ang sermong ito ay pinamagatang Seeing Jesus in Glory. Seeing Jesus in Glory. Ito po yung famous narrative in the Gospels about the transfiguration of Jesus. Yung face and everything about Jesus ay nag-ibang anyo. Ang sentral na mensahe ng ating sermon ay, ito po yung pinaka-sentro ng ating pag-aaral, beyond all that goes around and within our lives is the glory of Jesus that humbles us to trust and obey Him. Ulit po. Beyond all that goes around us and within our lives is the glory of Jesus that humbles us to trust and obey Him. Sa Tagalog po, higit sa lahat na nangyayari sa paligid at sa loob ng ating buhay, within us, ay ang kaluwalhatian ni Hesus na pinapakumbaba tayo para magtiwala at sumunod sa Kanya. Ibig pong sabihin, tayo po ay namumuhay through our physical sight. Yung literal na nakikita po natin ngayon. Pero beyond everything na nakikita natin ay yung totoong kaluwalhatian ni Hesus na nagliliwanag na hindi po natin nakikita. Kaya nga po, sabi ni Pablo, we live not by sight, but by faith. We live by faith and not by sight. And once we realize that this is how glorious Jesus is, the result should be, we will be humbled. And as we are being humbled, this causes us also to trust in Him and to obey Him. Ibig sabihin, akala natin ganito lang si Hesus na ordinaryong tao. Once He revealed Himself, at least through to Peter, John, and James, they were humbled. They truly testified that this is the Son of God. Matututunan natin ito pong pag-aaral na ito, yung sentrong mensahe, mula sa tatlong pangyayari sa teksto. There are 3 events. Yung tatlong pangyayaring iyon, ito po yung how I divided it also. First is when they saw the glory of Jesus, and as they saw the glory of Jesus, there appeared with Him Moses and Elijah, And after that appearance and conversation, a cloud overshadowed them and a voice spoke to them. So these are the three events. But what we can say there is, una, in verses 28 to 29, Jesus beyond our sight. So understanding Jesus beyond our sight. Pangalawa, in verses 30 to 33, Jesus beyond our expectations. Jesus beyond our expectations. Akala natin, ito si Hesus at ito yung kanyang gagawin. No. There are surprises that will humble us also na hindi ganito ang kaparaanan ng Diyos. Pangatlo, in verses 34 to 36, Jesus beyond our perplexities. Jesus beyond our perplexities. The word perplex ay na-encounter na po natin in chapter 9, verse 7. Ito po yung si Herod ay narinig niya yung nangyayari sa ginagawa ng mga apostol at si Hesus. Sabi doon, he heard all that was happening and he was perplexed. Para po siyang nabahala sa ginagawa at kung sino si Hesus. In Merriam-Webster, sabi sa dictionary na yon, perplexity means filled with uncertainty. Kumbaga natatakot ka dahil hindi mo alam kung ano yung mangyayari sa susunod. Full of difficulty. You're puzzled. Meron ang kanta yung U2 eh. You're stuck in a moment and you can't get out of it. So that's what happened also to the three apostles when they saw this glory. But there's a voice comforting them. So una po, magsimula tayo sa verses 28 to 29, which is about Jesus beyond our sight. Now, let's dive in. Sabi po sa verse 28. Let's look sa verse 28. Sabi po dito, now about 8 days after these sayings, he took with him Peter, John, and James, and went up on the mountain to pray. Pansin po ninyo muli yung emphasis doon sa detalye na si Hesus from one story to another, lagi po siyang pumupunta sa mountain to pray. Right? So, dito po sa saad ni Lucas, sa kanyang salaysay, isinama ni Hesus sila Pedro, Juan at Santiago paakyat ng bundok, again para manalangin, at sinabi after these sayings. Which means, matapos po yung serye ng lahat ng sinabi ni Hesus patungkol sa kanya bilang Mesiyas, after 8 days po, ito yung nangyari. Right? Ano po ba yung sinabi ni Hesus? If you can recall, yun po yung mga sinabi ni Hesus na katanungan, who do you say that I am? And then the apostles reported, you are this, according to the crowd. Now, how do you say that I am? Again, you are Christ of God. And another is sinabi, this Son of Man must suffer, will be killed, and will be raised. In other words, ito po yung panahon na naintindihan nila na si Hesus ang Mesiyas at ito ang kahihinatnan ng Mesiyas. In this story, there is a final, I don't know kung tama yung ilustrasyon, verdict that all of these testimonies are true, na nasinelyuhan ng pinakahigit na testigo sa lahat, which is God the Father. So ito po yung dating yung flow na nangyayari doon sa story. Pinapahiwatig dito muli ni Lucas ang pagpapahalaga ni Hesus. Again, sa importansya, si Hesus po, lumalabas na he is totally dependent sa Panginoon as he pray. especially in this revelation of His glory. Lalo na sa pagtatalaga ng kanyang sarili tungo sa ipinahayag niyang kahihinatnan ng kanyang buhay. Later on, we will realize that Moses, Elijah, and Jesus are not simply having hey, kamusta ka na? How are you? Okay naman. No, they're talking about the Exodus. That's the word for departure. Makikita po natin dito. Sabi nga din, which he was about to accomplish at Jerusalem. They're talking about his death or his resurrection as well. Ngunit, ito po sa pagtungo nila Hesus sa bundok, ito ay hindi malayong may kaugnayan sa kung paano kinatagpo ng Diyos ang kanyang lingkod na si Moises sa bundok ng Sinai, kung saan mismong naranasan niya ang kaluwalhatian ng Diyos. What I'm saying is, this event ay hindi po malayo doon sa nangyari kay Moises. Nung he was tending the sheep, and all of a sudden, he saw a burning bush, and that burning bush is the manifestation of God. And nagsasalita din, and he revealed who he is. I am who I am. Hindi po malayo na may parehas pong layunin na maipakilala kung sino ang Diyos na si Yahweh at ipakilala kung sino talaga si Hesus. At this point in time, He is about to reveal at least to the three of the apostles kung sino siya. That was in Exodus 32 to 34. Makikita po niyo yung revelation na yun. Sa pagkakataong ito, nais rin ni Hesus maipakita again kila Pedro, Juan at Santiago patuloy ang kanyang kaluwalhatian. Now, in the next verse 29, sunod po na nangyari, and as he was praying, Jesus, the appearance of his face was altered, and his clothing became dazzling white. Jesus, yes, he was praying, but all of a sudden, para siyang nagkaroon ng instant glutathione na transformation in his face, and yung clothing niya po ay sobrang puti. Sa version po ni Mateo, at least kay John, wala siyang story of the transfiguration. Na yung synoptic gospels, si Mateo po, ang description po niya sa mukha ni Hesus ay nagliliwanag daw po tulad ng araw. That's the description of Matthew. Nagliliwanag tulad ng araw. Now, you go outside and look to the sun. That's exactly what's happening in the face of Jesus. At kay Marcos, in Mark 9 verse 3, yung description naman po ni Marcos sa kanyang pananamit, ang sabi po doon, walang sino man sa mundo ang makakapagpaputi ng gayon. There's nothing on earth na makakapagpaputi ng ganong klaseng kaputian na nakita nila kay Jesus. So this is not an ordinary sight na normal nilang makikita sa buhay. A man dazzling, yung damit niya dazzling in white, and his face was like that. Sa pagpapatotoo nila na si Hesus nga ang tunay na Mesiyas ng Diyos, sila ay nabigyan ng pribilehiyo na masaksihan at maranasan ang tanyag na kaluwalhatian na ito ng anak ng Diyos. It's like, if I may say, parang ito ay isang tawag dito, reward. As you confess that I am the Messiah, I'm gonna give you a glimpse of who I am. Katulad nga ni Moses din ito eh. I'll show you who I am. Nagkaroon sila ng pribilehiyo. At ito pong kaluwalhatian ni Jesus Actually, sabi nga po ni Juan in John chapter 1:14, this glory is the glory as the only Son from the Father. Itong kaluwalhatian na ito na kanilang nasasaksihan ay kaluwalhatian na nagmumula na meron lang sa Ama. And also, itong kaluwalhatian nito ay likas sa Kanya bago pa daw magsimula ang mundo. In John 17 verse 5, it says, "The glory that I had with you before the world existed." This is not an ordinary sight. Jesus is showing to them the glory, His glory. Yung kaluwalhatian na ito. Yung manifestation po nun, yun nga po, sobrang, I don't know how we can describe yung araw na parang ganun yung mukha daw ni Hesus at yung pananamit niya sobrang puti. That's the manifestation of that glory. Bilang itinalagang mga apostol, ito pong mga apostol na ito, sila ang magtataguyod ng katotohanan ni Hesus. They are so-called the messengers of Christ. They will testify the truth about Jesus. Mahalagang maipatotoo nila ng ganap na si Jesus ang tunay na Diyos base sa likas nitong kaluwalhatian. They are testifying to the people Jesus is the Messiah, but they also have to have the first-hand experience of who Jesus is. Halimbawa, kung meron mang representante ang Pangulo ng Pilipinas, halimbawa, si Pangulong Duterte, before, kilala po natin yung kanang kamay ni Duterte. Hindi po niya pinili yun randomly. Si Senator Bongo is talagang very close. At kilala niya si Pangulong Duterte. The apostles themselves also are ought to experience who Jesus is in His glory. Kaya po, ito po ang matututunan natin dito, dahil sa kanilang patotoo, nakasisiguro tayong si Jesus ay higit na dakila sa kung paano natin lamang siya simpleng nakilala. Ito po yung natin dito kumbaga, kung meron tayong ikakainggit sa mga apostol, ito yung naranasan na kilala talaga nila si Jesus. At much more, compared to the 12, Peter, John, and James were able to witness this glory. And because of them, sila po yung nagiging testimonya para sa atin. Sila po yung testigo para tayo ay maniwala. Ito rin ay patotoo sa kasiguraduhan ng katagumpayan ng ating kaligtasan at pagtatatag ng kanyang kaharian. Another thing that I can say is, this is a proof that if He is the Messiah, ito ang Mesiyas na talagang magtataguyod ng kaligtasan natin. Kasi ang hindi nakikita ng mga Pariseo at ng ibang mga Hudyo, ito na yung Mesiyas. Ipinanganak sa sabsaban, akala ko ba hari yan? But little did they know that this Messiah is really glorious. Ito po ay patotoo na may katagumpayan ang kanyang gagawin sa krus para sa ating kaligtasan at maitatatag niya yung kanyang kaharian. He's really the King who will establish the everlasting kingdom of God. Now here's the question for us. Paano mo kinikilala si Jesus? Are you that kind of person who know Jesus, who simply died on the cross, who is celebrated every Christmas as a baby boy, and we are singing joy to the world for He has come? Or do you have that kind of reverence to Him Because in the Bible, he was revealed to be this kind, to be glorious like this. Gaano mo kakilala si Jesus? Because the question that we can also follow up is, this will have an effect sa iyong pakikitungo sa Kanya, sa iyong pamumuhay. The question is, siya ba ay parang ordinaryong tao lamang para sa iyo, o kinikilala mo siya bilang Diyos na dakila? Is He a great God for you? And this is what we can say also. Ang ating pagsamba at pagmamahal kay Jesus, ito po yung pagsamba natin at pagmamahal kay Jesus, ay direktang kasukat, that's the Tagalog for directly proportional, ng ating pagkakilala sa Kanyang kadakilaan at kaluwalhatian. In other words, kung gaano mo kakilala si Jesus, ganun mo siya sasambahin at ganun mo siya mamahalin. Now, if you do not know Jesus in His glory, expect what kind of worship you will give to Him. What kind of love you will offer to Him. Pangalawa po, as we move in our text in verses 33 to 33, it's about Jesus beyond our expectations. Jesus beyond our expectations. So matapos po nun, yung change, transfiguration of Jesus, sunod na nangyari sa verses 30 to 31, sabi po dito, and behold, two men were talking with him, Moses and Elijah, who appeared in glory and spoke of his departure, which he was about to accomplish at Jerusalem. So imagine this, bukod po doon sa pagbabagong anyo ni Jesus, dinagdagan pa ito ng paglitaw nila Moises at ni Elijah, na nakikipag-usap kay Jesus. I want to imagine yung actual pong nangyayari dito kasi nakita na nga po nila yung glorious image of Jesus. Another is, yung mga Hudyo ay kilala si Moises, kilala si Elijah, at nakita nila. Si Moises, who is the one na itinalaga ng Diyos na nakatanggap ng banal na kasulatan, yung law, the Mosaic law. Elijah is the great among all the prophets, appeared with Jesus. Kumbaga parang 3D. Hindi lang po talaga impormasyon para sa kanila. Kasabay ng kapahayagan ng kaluwalhatian ni Hesus bilang tunay na Diyos in His glory, sa pisikal nitong anyo, ay ang pisikal din na paglitaw ng dalawang kinikilalang lingkod ng Diyos na naghatid ng banal na kautusan at ng kalooban ng Diyos sa propesiya. The law of Moses, it's not just the law of Moses, it's Moses himself appeared in the scene. Elijah, among the prophets, is not only giving a prophecy, they are not only like experiencing the prophecy, the one who gave the prophecy was there. Sa isang banda, ito ay patotoo sa pagkalehitimo ng unang tipan. Ibig pong sabihin, the legitimacy of the Old Testament was testified in the appearance of Moses and Elijah. So yung will ng Panginoon in the Old Testament is not an ordinary document, but it is divine through the appearance of these people. Sa kabilang banda, ito rin ay patotoo o pagkilala ng dalawang lingkod na ito ng unang tipan sa higit na kadakilaan ni Hesus bilang pinakadiwa ng kanilang pinapahayag. Ito po yung gusto kong sabihin dito. Moses and Elijah are like testifying that He is indeed the Messiah. And everything that we are bringing to you, the law and the writings of the prophets or the words of the prophets, points to Him. We are just the shadows and He is the substance. Ito po yung sinabi mismo sa Hebrews chapter 1, 1-2. Listen to this. Sabi po, long ago, at many times and in many ways, God spoke to our fathers by the prophets. Moses himself is a prophet. But in these last days, the time when Jesus came, up to now is the last days, He has spoken to us by His Son, whom He appointed the heir of all things, through whom also He created the world. Noong unang tipan, ang revelasyon ng Panginoon sa tao ay sa pamamagitan ng mga propeta. Sa panahon po ngayon, nangungusap ang Diyos sa katauhan ni Hesus. And to tell you honestly, there's no other means for us to know God than through Jesus Christ. Wala na pong ibang representative. There's no appointed means for us to know who God is than through Jesus Christ alone. That's what we can derive doon po sa Hebrews text na yun. Mas lalong binigyang linaw dito ang punto ng kanilang paglitaw. Pinagtibay nila ang misyon ni Hesus sa kanilang pag-uusap na may kaugnayan sa dakilang kaligtasan na ginampanan ng Diyos sa panahon ni Moises. Again, ano po yung pinag-uusapan nila dito? If we will go to the text, sabi po dito, who appeared in glory, Moses and Elijah, and spoke of His departure. For those who have the ESV Bibles, meron pong kayong makikitang footnote. Nakita niyo po yung footnote sa departure na word? I hope sa NIV meron din. Ano po yung nakalagay sa baba? Yes, sabi ni JB, Exodus. In Greek, yun po yung talagang nakasulat. Spoke of the Exodus. Now, the question is, bakit po Exodus yung ginamit ni Lucas na word? Other than ibang word pertaining to departure. Sabi po ni N.T. Wright, I love his comment here, the reason Luke has chosen this word, not least in connection with Moses, kasi baka kinoconnect ni Lucas si Moises sa appearance, and he used the word Exodus. The reason Luke has chosen this word is that in His death, Jesus will enact an event just like the great Exodus from Egypt, only more so. In the new Exodus, Jesus will lead all God's people out of slavery of sin and death and home to their promised inheritance, the new creation in which the whole world will be redeemed. The reason daw po sa posibleng ginagawa ni Lucas dito ay gustong i-connect ni Luke yung greater exodus na i-accomplish ni Jesus. Because through Jesus Christ, hindi lang po makakawala sa slavery from Egypt ang mga tao. Through Jesus Christ, the greater Moses, everyone who will put their faith in Him will lead them out from slavery, from sin and death. The greater exodus. Not only that, Jesus will not only bring us to Canaan, which is the promised land, but Jesus will bring us to the true place where we will dwell with God. Ito po yung greater revelation of Jesus, more than what he did in the Old Testament. Sa kabila po ng kaganapang ito, right? Imagine, nakita sa nangyayari, nag-transfigure si Jesus, and also, yung nakasama niya si Moises at Elijah talking about these things, sa kabila nito, nangyari sa verses 32 to 33. Now let's read. Sabi po dito, "Now Peter and those who were with him," of course James and John, "were heavy with sleep." So yung antok po sila lumalabas. Kaya sinasabi, posibleng ito daw po ay gabi. Pero yung iba naman sinasabi, tanghali daw po. But when they became fully awake, okay, nagising po sila, talagang nagising sila, they saw His glory, and the two men who stood with Him, nakita po nila si Moses and Elijah. And verse 33, "As the men were parting from Him, Peter said to Jesus," mukhang umaalis na po si Moises at si Elias. Peter said to Jesus, "Master, it is good that we are here. Let us make three tents, one for you, and one for Moses, and one for Elijah." And sabi ni Lucas, not knowing what he said. Meron sa pong kwento yung kaibigan naming pastor. Sa church po nila, umattend po si Senator Loren Legarda. Kasi po sa church po nila, nag-a-attend din po, I think dati, si Chief Justice Sereno. So magkaibigan po itong si Sereno at si Senator Legarda. In-invite, of course, to hear the gospel. And siya po, yung pastor doon, nakita niya si Loren Legarda at in-invite na. At nung nakita po niya si Senator, nataranta po siya. Sabi niya, "Ay, magandang umaga po. Pasok po kayo, may aircon po sa loob." Umaga parang, ba't ko ba sinabi yun? Ano ba yung pwede kong sabihin? Parang nataranta po siya doon sa moment na yon na ang nasabi niya lang, "Pumasok po kayo, may aircon po sa loob." Nahiya po siya kumbaga. Si Lucas po, in-specify po dito na, Jesus, gagawan ko kayo ng tent para sa'yo, kay Moses, kay Elijah, maganda, andito tayo." And then sinabi ni Lucas, not knowing what he said. It seems, natataranta po itong si Peter at hindi niya alam yung sinasabi niya. Kumpara po kay Mateo at kay Marcos, hindi po na-specify yung heavy with sleep. Hindi po na-specify na sila ay antok. Pero ang sabi po ni Howard Marshall, ang emphasis ni Lucas dito ay yung dahilan kung bakit nasabi ni Lucas ito. Dahil probably nagising lang siya at dahil sa pagkatulog niyang yon, nataranta siya at hindi niya alam kung ano yung sasabihin niya. Inakala ni Pedro, ito po yung isang maganda rin pong assumption. Kasi po sa panahon nila Moises, di ba po, nasa wilderness sila at nagtayo sila ng mga tinatawag na tents. Kaya mayroong tinawag na Feast of Booths. Yung tents, Feast of Tents. Iniisip ni Pedro, this is like a Feast of Tents. Magsama-sama tayo dito and then let's commemorate yung piyesta na yun. Pero lumalabas po dito, marahil, gusto ni Pedro na manahan sila ng matagal. Ayaw nilang matapos yung moment na yun. He want to keep Jesus, Moses, and Elijah. Ngunit, hindi alam ni Pedro ang lahat ng kinakailangan para ganap na mangyari ang walang hanggang pananahan ng Diyos muli sa tao. Ibig pong sabihin, yung pananahan nila Moises, Elijah, and Jesus in that glory will not easily take place. Akala ni Pedro, basta-basta lang yung pananahan na yon. The truth is, it will take the sacrifice of Jesus so that God Himself totally will return and dwell with men. Naikuha niyo pa yung sinasabi ko? Yung pagsasama ng tao at ng Diyos with that kind of glory will not easily take place. It will require the sacrifice of Jesus so that the new creation and the dwelling of men with God will really happen. Hindi alam ni Pedro na ganun, kala niya basta-basta lang. Pero what we can say also, this is a glimpse of what will happen in the future. Makakasama natin si Hesus at makikita din po natin yung mga nakilala natin dito sa Biblia. Ito po yung katanungan natin dito. Ikaw rin ba ay nagnanais na mangyari na lang basta-basta ang kaligtasan ng Diyos sa sanlibutan? Are you also like Peter, let's say, na gusto mo lang basta ganito na lang kagad yung mangyari, but you are not submitting doon sa mismong plano ng Diyos kung paano niya itututuparin? Ito po yung sunod na katanungan nga. Gaano ka nagpapasakop sa kaparaanan ng Diyos kung paano niya tutuparin ang kanyang plano? Kasi after this, nawala na po sila yung glory na yon, and they are back to the reality. It seems for Peter, I don't want this to end. Let's keep them here. Pero hindi yung nais ng Diyos eh. God, the Father Himself, wants Jesus to face Jerusalem towards the Calvary. Tayo din po ba ay gusto nating basta na lang mangyari na lang yung mga plano ng Diyos? O tayo ay nakikiisa sa Kanyang kaparaanan kung paano niya tutuparin ang Kanyang mga plano? That's why we're saying we have to see Jesus beyond our expectations, beyond what we expect in life. Now sa pangatlo po, in the last verses 34 to 36, sa pag-aakala po na yun na yung lahat ng parte sa buong pangyayari, kumbaga, pag nanonood tayo muli ng episode or probably a movie, akala natin, basta namatay na lang si Thanos, or basta nangyari na lang ito. No, there's more. Wait, there's more, sabi nga. Nangyari huli sa verse 34, nangyari sa huli, in verses 34 to 36, basahin po natin. As he was saying these things, si Peter, a cloud came and overshadowed them, and they were afraid as they entered the cloud. And a voice came out of the cloud, saying, "This is my Son, my chosen one. Listen to him." And when the voice had spoken, Jesus was found alone, and they kept silent and told no one in those days anything of what they had seen. Lumalabas na sa buo pong pangyayaring ito, ang Diyos Ama ay nasa kanilang presensya. Akala po nila, they are just seeing Jesus in glory, and Moses and Elijah simply appeared. Hindi po nila alam, throughout that event, God the Father is with them. Hanggang sa ipamalas nito ang kanyang kaluwalhatian sa pamamagitan ng pagsakop sa kanila ng matinding ulap, great cloud, tulad ng nangyari sa Sinai. If you also can recall, nung nais ipamahagi ng Diyos ang kanyang kautusan, pinaakyat si Moises, and there are flashes of lightnings and great cloud in the mountain to the point na yung mga tao ayaw nang lumapit doon. Sa madaling salita, nagdulot po ito sa kanila ng pagkatakot, sabi nga dito, sa pagkaunawa na sa ganitong kaparaanan nananahan ang Diyos sa mga tao tulad ng pagkatakot ng mga Israelita. In the time of Moses, ganito po nagdedwell ang Panginoon. Meron pong ganong klaseng manifestation. Sabi nga po dun sa Exodus 19, even the mountains trembled doon sa appearance ng Panginoon in that cloud. Ngunit sa kanilang takot at kabalisahan, they are perplexed, they were afraid. Sa lahat na nangyayari, ano po ang sumunod? Nagsalita ang Diyos Ama na dinedeklarang si Hesus ang kanyang anak na kanyang hinirang na dapat nilang pakinggan. Amidst everything na kanila pong nasaksihan and what's going on in them, nagsalita po ang Diyos Ama. There's a cloud. Not only that, there's a voice. The very voice of God. Sa salaysay ni Lucas, mapapansin natin na binigyan niya ng diin dito ang sunod-sunod na kapahayagan patungkol kay Hesus. Sinabi ko po kanina sa umpisa na yung istorya ay patungkol sa pagbibigay ng testimonya kung sino si Hesus. Now, this is the climax. God Himself, God the Father Himself testified, "This is my Son, my chosen one." Not only that, listen to Him. If you're seeking for a testimony, if Jesus is really the Son of God, who can top this testimony? Sino pa po yung hahanapin nyo para mapatutuon, para talagang maniwala lang tayo na siya yung anak ng Diyos? God the Father is the ultimate witness about who Jesus is. Pero, sa pagkakataong ito, pinagtibay mismo ng Diyos Ama para sa kanila, pinagtibay mismo ng Diyos Ama para sila ay ganap na sumunod kay Hesus. Sa lahat ng kaluwalhatian ay pinahayag sa kanila at sa patuloy na kapahayagan nito na kanilang masasaksihan. When God the Father spoke to these people that this is my Son, it is beyond the testimony that He is the Son of God. They were afraid, and in their perplexities, again, they're filled with uncertainty. They were comforted by this voice. He is the Son of God, and He is worthy of your allegiance. He is worthy of your obedience. Listen to Him. Matapos nito, nanumbalik ang lahat sa normal, right? At nakitang nag-iisa na lang si Hesus. Sila ay tumahimik at hindi ibinalita ang lahat ng kanilang nasaksihan at naranasan. What we can say is, ito po, again, ay hindi ordinaryong karanasan na masasabing sila ay tunay na matatahimik dito. Right? Para po itong isang experience na nakakita ka ng isang extraordinary sight, and when, hey, what's happening? Na parang wala ka nang masabi. Parang talagang natahimik ka. How much more sa ganito pong klaseng experience? Pero this is what we can say. Pero sa lahat ng kanilang takot at kabalisahan sa anumang buhay na kanilang haharapin kasama ni Hesus, the point here is Jesus is testifying that the Son of Man will suffer, will be killed, and will be raised. And Jesus and the Father is saying, listen to Him or follow Him. He is the Son of God, but should we listen to Him to the point of death on the cross? They are that perplexed. Sa kabila ng anumang haharapin nila sa buhay, sila ay binigyan ng kaginhawaan sa pagpapatibay ng kanilang pananampalataya kay Hesus na magdadala sa kanila sa ganap na kaluwalhatian. In other words, the comfort of the testimony will enable them to go through all of this, to go through all the path that they will take. That testimony that you should trust that He is the Son of God. And as you trust that He is the Son of God, this will lead you also to glory. Sabi din po ni N.T. Wright patungkol dito, I cannot help but to use what he said. We too often find it completely bewildering to know how to understand all that God is doing and saying. We are puzzled kung ano yung sinasabi ng Diyos, both in our times of great joy and our times of great sadness. But the word that comes to us, leading us on to follow Jesus, even when we haven't a clue what's going on, is the word that came from the cloud on the strange day in Galilee. This is my Son, my chosen one. Listen to Him. He is like saying, Tom Wright is saying, na kahit po sa buhay natin ngayon, we're filled with uncertainties. We're filled with doubts. We're stuck in a moment and we cannot get out of it. Ika nga. We have to listen again, or we have to go back and have that kind of moment na pakinggan natin yung mismong boses na nagsasalita sa atin. Yung boses na ito na nanggaling mismo doon sa Mount of Transfiguration, comforting us that He is my Son. He is worthy of your trust. He is worthy of all your obedience. Listen to Him. Sa atin pong pagtatapos, sino po yung nakasaksi doon? Si Peter, James, and John. And his experience on the cloud, in that mountain, he gave a testimony in 2 Peter 1:16-19. Sinama po niya doon sa letter niyang yon, yung experience niyang yon. At ito po yung sinabi niya. He is encouraging us to continuously follow Jesus Christ. Sabi niya rito, we were eyewitnesses of His majesty. For when He received honor and glory from God the Father, and the voice was borne to Him by the majestic glory, "This is my beloved Son with whom I am well pleased," we ourselves heard this very voice born from heaven, for we were with Him on the holy mountain. And we have the prophetic word more fully confirmed, to which you will do well to pay attention, as to a lamp shining in a dark place, until the day dawns and the morning star rises in your hearts. Peter is like saying, kami mismo, na-experience namin yung nangyaring ito, confirming indeed that Jesus is the Son. And whatever we are receiving right now from God in His Word, we have to pay attention to it until dumating yung araw. Itong morning star na ito, si Jesus daw po ito, will rise in our hearts, will lead us to glory. Kaya ito po yung matatanong natin dito. Anong mga bagay ang bumabagabag sa iyo ngayon? What are the things that causes perplexity sa iyo ngayon? For us, probably our young kids, particularly kung si Yuan man o kaya si Marcus. Some of us probably worried of how are we going to sustain itong sitwasyon na ito ng buhay natin. We are worried about our family. We are worried about our loved ones. We are worried about our career. We are worried about this upcoming school year. Anong kahihinatnan ng lahat ng ito? Sa lahat ng ito, patuloy ka bang tumitingin sa liwanag at dakilang kaluwalhatian ni Hesus? Patuloy ka bang tumitingin kung sino si Hesus sa kanyang kaluwalhatian? And I cannot help also but nahiramin itong sinabi ni Philip Ryken. He said, "Live by His light until the day when He comes again with the glorious clouds of heaven, when we will join with the fellowship of Moses and Elijah and all the saints, and when we will see the everlasting glory of God, the Son." Church, live by the light of Jesus until that day. Ano man po yung mga dadaanan natin sa buhay. In the dark places, look to the glory of Jesus Christ. Live in the glory of Jesus Christ. Kaya alalahanin po natin muli ang tatlong pangyayari sa tekstong natin na nagbibigay ng implikasyon sa atin. Una, Jesus beyond our sight. Don't simply look to Jesus in your direct sight to Him. Go beyond your sight, His glory. Jesus beyond our expectations. And Jesus beyond our perplexities. So if we will see Jesus in glory, this will lead us to the true life na ihanda po niya para po sa atin. Mga minamahal, patuloy tayong mamuhay sa katotohanan dito sa mensahe natin sa umagang ito. Na higit sa lahat na nangyayari sa paligid at sa loob ng ating buhay ay ang kaluwalhatian ni Hesus na pinagpapakumbaba tayo para magtiwala at sumunod sa Kanya. Tayo po'y manalangin. Panginoon, salamat po sa katotohanan na amin pong natutunan sa umagang ito, patotoo kung sino talaga si Hesus. At kayo rin po ay nangungusap na si Hesus sa kanyang kaluwalhatian ay ang tunay na Mesiyas, ay ang tunay na inyo pong kaparaanan para ang aming mga buhay ay manumbalik sa inyo, O Diyos. Tulungan niyo po kami patuloy na sa lahat ng pagkakataon, kami po ay tumingin kay Hesus sa kanyang kaluwalhatian. At sa iba rin po sa amin na hindi pa po nakakilala kay Hesus, panalangin po namin na patuloy po kayong mangusap sa amin hanggang sa makita din po namin ang labis niyang kaluwalhatian, lalong-lalo na sa kanyang ginawa sa krus bilang Diyos na banal, para kaming mga hindi karapat-dapat na makasalanan ay manumbalik sa inyo. Salamat muli, O Diyos, kung aming dalangin sa pangalan ni Hesus. Amen.